Welcome to Week 11. Today we are discussing hallucinations and false confidence. It is important to remember that I can produce fluent, confident, and polished answers that are actually fabricated or outdated. Tone is never a substitute for evidence. AI text often looks trustworthy because of its clear grammar, professional tone, and detailed structure. However, these are just presentation signals. They do not establish truth. A claim is only trustworthy if it is supported by appropriate evidence in the right context. An AI hallucination is generated information that is fabricated or presented as factual without proper grounding. This can manifest as an invented report, a false quotation, or even a link that appears precise but actually leads nowhere. When we use the term hallucination, we are referring to an output problem, not a human-like mental experience. The AI isn't believing anything. It is helpful to describe these issues as fabrications in the output, rather than saying the AI believed a false fact. Not every error is a hallucination. There are also outdated rules, calculation errors, and context errors, where real information is applied incorrectly. Precisely classifying the error helps us determine the best way to verify the information. Why do these plausible errors occur? Because AI models generate likely continuations based on learned patterns. They can easily replicate the form of a formal report or a technical answer, even when the underlying details aren't grounded in fact. Advanced tools like web search or calculators can improve grounding, but they don't guarantee accuracy. AI can still misread a source, misquote it, or mix up details. Every piece of important evidence must be manually inspected. AI errors come in many forms, including fabrications, factual errors, and source mismatches. Often, a single response might contain several of these errors. Always consider your initial classification to be provisional until you have checked the evidence. Fabrications involve invented reports or quotes. Factual errors involve wrong dates or numbers. A source mismatch happens when a real source is cited but does not actually support the claim. Even a real citation can be misused. Watch out for ungrounded summaries where information is attributed to a source where it doesn't exist, as well as outdated information or context errors. Always check your work against the actual source material. We also see reasoning errors, calculation mistakes, and internal contradictions. A complex response might cite a real report, but then incorrectly date it or apply its conclusions to a situation outside the report's intended scope. Partly correct answers are often the hardest to detect. When an AI provides several accurate details, it builds trust that makes us less likely to question the one central, unsupported claim that carries the main conclusion. False confidence occurs when the strength of the language exceeds the actual evidence. Phrases like certainly true or research clearly proves don't validate the content. Always look past the wording and evaluate the evidence itself. Cautious wording isn't proof of accuracy either. Whether the AI sounds confident or hesitant, don't let the tone guide you. Always ask, what evidence actually supports this claim? To wrap up, mark checkable claims like names, dates, numbers, and sources. Copy the exact claim rather than relying on a vague memory of what you read. Being systematic allows you to compare AI output with real evidence. When reviewing an AI response, prioritize your time by focusing on importance and consequence. Ask yourself, how central is the claim to the overall answer? And what are the potential consequences if this specific claim turns out to be wrong? Verification effort should always match the risk level. A fictional task has a low verification need. However, high-stakes situations, such as legal or health-related decisions, require strong, authoritative evidence and careful human judgment. To stay systematic, use a 7-step verification chain. Mark the claim, identify the potential error, rank the risk, leave the chat, locate a reliable source, check the evidence, and then decide on your next action. Preparation is key. Before you start searching, record the exact statement you are checking, classify the possible error, and rank its importance. This organized approach prevents vague searching and makes your audit much more efficient. Remember to leave the chatbot for independent verification. Asking the same AI if it is sure does not constitute an independent check, as the system will likely repeat the same unsupported claim. Always verify against external reliable sources. When locating a source, a search result snippet or title is not enough. You must open the document, report, or database to properly inspect the content and verify if it truly aligns with the claim in question. As you review your source, check for existence, scope, and currency. Does the source contain the information? And does it genuinely support the exact claim? Even if a source is real, it might still fail to support the specific point being made. Once you have reviewed the evidence, you have 4 choices. Keep the claim if it is supported, correct it, reject it if it is false, or escalate it if you need a qualified expert to verify the information. Be aware that a central error can compromise the entire response. If a recommendation relies on a non-existent report, simply removing the citation is insufficient. You must reevaluate your reasoning and conclusions entirely. I recommend using a correction log. Document the original claim, the error found, the evidence you checked, and the final decision. This transparency makes the entire path from the initial claim to the final decision clearly visible. Your goal should be calibrated trust, not blind reliance or total rejection. Match your level of trust to the available evidence and the context of the task. A proportional approach is the hallmark of AI literacy. For our next activity, take an AI-generated response on a neutral topic and follow the 6-step audit process. Mark, classify, rank, verify, decide, and record your results to practice these essential verification skills. Finally, reflect on your findings. What made the initial answer appear trustworthy? What errors were hidden? Reliable AI use means showing every important step, from the initial claim to your final, verified decision.